Hello and welcome to Flicks and Chill with me, Luke. Today I have a very special guest with me. Mike is here. So, Mike, why don't you take away and introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name's Mike Matney. I'm a musician. Play for the band Matney. Uh, I'm in Southwest Virginia, and I'm just happy as can be to be talking to Luke today. Thank you,
Uh,
Luke, for having me on.
the pleasure is all mine, sir. Thank you very much for accepting. So, you're a musician. So, what kind of music do you actually do?
Uh, I'm a rock guy, and
Nice.
I've actually, again, I'm in Virginia in the States, but I signed a deal with a label in the UK,
Hmm.
Roulette Records, and
Mm.
we've been out for about a year now over there, and we've had some luck with it. Had a lot of airplay on the radio and stuff, but we're trying right now to set up a tour to come to Europe, and it's a little bit difficult to do, but that's on the agenda next. We want to come over and see you guys.
I see. Nice. So, is this like planned for this year, 2025, or?
Well, that's what that we were shooting for fall of 2025, and we're working with an agency out of Germany, and stuff like that. I mean, that's over my pay grade. I mean, there's guys up there, the ones that are putting it together. I mean, I know it's difficult to do live music anymore. Uh, you know, it's just different than it used to be.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Yeah,
heard I heard about like I or not heard, but like I've read quite a few things about why concerts nowadays are so expensive and
right.
how the actual artist they don't even get that much off of it, especially because of like Ticketmaster, all these companies, and they need to pay their crew and all that stuff. So like am vaguely familiar with the problems, but I'm not an expert by any means. You're obviously the expert, so.
Well, I don't know that I'm an expert. I mean, but it's something that I'm running up against right now, for
Yeah.
sure.
No, I believe it. So when did you start? So when did you turn professional music? You're obviously a professional musician. So when did that start?
Luke, I got a little story. I'll tell you what.
Tell me.
My a little bit. It's I was raised in a small town here in Southwest Virginia in the Bible Belt, and my mom played piano in the church.
Hmm.
Uh, well, along about the time I was 18 years old, I always played music. I took piano lessons and played guitar and stuff coming through high school. Uh, well, I started working at a little record store here in town. A guy had, and he had a little four-track recorder in the back. And of the evenings, he would let me go in and record. Well, I saved up my yard mowing money and had a album. This was 1980, so I
Okay.
saved up yard mowing money and had the record pressed. We had like 200 copies of it. Well, uh, over the next 10 years, in 1990, I got a call from a friend of mine who was a record collector and said, "Have you got any more of those albums?" And he said, "I'll give you $50 a piece for it." And I was like, "Whoa." And I said, "I don't have any, but I'll try to round up a couple." So I went up to him in his house and he showed me where the album was selling for like $125 a copy in countries all over the world. Had different collectors lists. And that was in 90. So flash forward to now, and it's over 1,000 and some dollars a copy. And I've been signed by two different record labels, and I've got to tour the country a couple of times. Uh, and that was with my band called White Boy and the Average Rat Band.
Okay.
Uh, and now uh, I am just we've got the band Matney, and I'm working with my producer Stevie Salas. And Stevie Salas is a big name. He actually Stevie was a guitar player for Rod Stewart and for Mick Jagger and just a bunch. He's a famous producer, and you'll like this. He actually won the Sundance Film Festival award for a documentary that he produced called Rumble. And if you get a chance, I would highly recommend that to anybody. It's called uh, the name of it's Rumble, and it's all about how the Native Americans kind of got left out of the history of rock and roll,
Hmm.
and it's very it'll change your perspective on rock and roll. It really will. It's a great movie. So
Okay. That's wow. That's quite a story. So, is it fair to say you've been in the music industry, like in bands and or singing for your entire adult life? So you've never had any like a quote unquote office job or a proper job, quote unquote.
okay, great question. I actually I've been in it all my life. I went to Nashville when I was 18. Started working with bands there, and but then I did come back home. My dad has an insurance agency,
Hmm.
and the girl that I wanted to marry was back here. So they kind of lured me back here with that. And, so I've been here at Richlands for. I mean, I live here, and I've worked in my dad's insurance agency. Uh, a lot of times, music didn't quite pay the bills, so working for dad was always there.
Hmm.
And I have a farm now too. My dad and I both have farms and cattle farms and stuff. So I mean, while I've been in it all my life, uh, I have done the insurance thing too. That in the farm thing.
Okay,
So yeah,
that's interesting. Like, so in your professional, I would still call you a professional opinion. What is the biggest difference between making a music in when you started, like, I'm guessing late 80s, early 90s, and now 2020, 2025?
the pay. I mean, it's back in the '80s and stuff. Everything you could get paid good, and you could make a living and stuff. You could make good money going out. And now what it is, I think, like in the past, like a club owner would book a band, and if
Hmm.
they didn't heard the band or didn't know the band, they didn't know what kind of audience they would bring in. They were kind of gambling on bringing that band in, especially if they're from out of the area or whatever. Well, now they've come up with the idea, and it's pretty smart. I mean, I guess they actually charge the band to play, or they, you're playing for the door more or less, or like when we've played the Whiskey a Go Go in Hollywood several times, and what they'll do is they'll sell you a book of tickets,
Hmm.
and what you have to do is you have to go out and sell that book of tickets in order to make the money back that you paid to play the whiskey. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a pay to play deal. But if you sell those tickets, you break even. Then of course you can sell your merch and whatnot. But they've the club owners and stuff now, and the venues have taken that, um, have put that responsibility of bringing the audience or bringing a crowd in back to the band. And
Hmm.
so it probably, a lot of it, that's where it should be, I guess. You should build your audience, build your fan base. So yeah, that's a big difference right now. I mean, that I see, one of the things.
Okay. Okay, that sounds quite challenging, really.
And not even and I don't even want to get started on the streaming thing because, say with my record deal over in the UK, I mean, we were, thousands and thousands of downloads and stuff, and then you get paid,
Nothing.
nothing, more or
Yeah.
less.
No, I've seen the different like tables, like how much each, like like Spotify gives you this much for 1,000 streams, like Apple Music gives you this much, and it's always like 0.0000, like 1, 2, 6, 7, whatever is the number for like 1,000 streams.
Yeah,
So for like like even the biggest stars like are not really making that much money off of like Spotify or Apple Music, really, and which is kind of insane.
yeah, yeah. Uh, of course, the Spotify guy keeps getting richer and richer.
Well,
Yeah,
won't somebody think of the CEOs, please? Like honestly, they need to also be able to, I don't know, purchase a third sailboat and like a fourth yacht. Like just, we need to have a sympathy for the CEOs, right?
I agree.
But okay, okay, that sounds interesting. So like, who do you think are the most, what I'm looking for? Obviously, you're playing your own music, but do you have anybody who you look up to and not trying to emulate, but like, like your biggest inspirations? Like,
Sure.
do you have somebody like that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I went and seen him last week. I got the opportunity to go see Billy Gibbons. Billy Gibbons is the lead guitar player from ZZ Top, and I love ZZ Top. I grew up listening to him,
Hmm.
and my new album, Matney album called "The Red Man and the Redneck." You can find that out there anywhere online.
Nice.
Uh, it is it sounds, we get compared to ZZ Top a whole lot, and of course some of that was by design. Stevie, my producer, he kind of we had a sound that we were looking for, and
Hmm.
he sort of guided me to that. And I've done a lot of interviews and stuff where I tell people, that I wore the grooves out on my Tres Hombres album, the ZZ Top album, trying to learn how to play those songs. Well, I got to go see him last week, man, and the dude is like 75 years old, and he played a 2-hour show, and it was just awesome. Uh, it's just amazing. I never even seen him tune his guitar. He played the same guitar for 2 hours, and I don't think he even tuned it. Uh, he's just an incredible performer. But
Mhm.
you ask one of my heroes, that would be Billy Gibbons,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. That's a yeah, that's a very solid choice as far as like rock music goes. Like, cannot get any higher or better than ZZ Top, I'm guessing. Maybe Rolling Stones. But yeah. Okay.
I said, I seen a thing. I read an interview yesterday where it said Billy Gibbons said that his favorite guitar player was Keith Richards.
Mm,
So
yeah. That kind of makes sense, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so in your uh, what's the most fascinating thing that happened to you because of your profession, because of you being involved in the music world? Is there like a moment or like something that's like, if I ever tell this story, nobody will believe this has happened to me, but it's actually happened. Do you have one of those like, what the fuck is happening moments?
uh, I've I would have to think about that, but I mean, I've had those.
Hmm.
Probably some of the shows I've played, I catch myself, again, I go back to the whiskey. You're standing there on stage and you're thinking of all the people that have all the history that's there and has been there, and all of a sudden it's a packed house and you're right there, and it's just like a little bit overwhelming, you know, and you think, the people back home are not gonna understand, you know, but uh, I've had some stuff happen out on the road that's just kind of bizarre, I guess, some different stories. But
But I'm guessing mostly, hopefully, mostly positive stuff. Not obviously
yeah,
you're bound to, bump into some crazy people here and there, I'm guessing.
the when we went out with White Boy and the Average Rat Band, when we did their first national tour and stuff and went out around, we didn't know how we would be accepted,
Hmm.
and partly because of the time that we went out was like 2019, 2020, the political climate and stuff. We didn't know, even if people would accept us, as far as the name went and everything.
Hmm.
But we had the best time. There's everybody out there on the road is just great to us. We never really had anything bad happen to us per se. Knock on wood, but it's
Okay.
good, good.
No, that's good. Always good to hear. That's always good to hear that, you haven't encountered many of the crazies. So, and they are out there. Like, all you have to do is just walk outside.
Oh, I know that to be a fact. Uh, yeah.
Yep. So you mentioned you're based in Virginia, and as a person who's never been to any of the United States of America, what if I asked you, "Hey, I'm gonna go there for a week. What would you recommend me to go and see? What would you recommend me? Oh, we need to go there and eat. Like, what would be your kind of like a week holiday in Virginia like?"
In Virginia. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I would say that come on to the farm and we'll feed you a good home cooked meal.
Okay.
We'll go horseback riding if you want a horseback ride.
All
We'll
right.
hang out here. Of course, there's one or two nice restaurants in town that you might enjoy. We do some sightseeing. I live in a coal mining town, very rural town, and there's not a lot of venues, nightclubs, and
Mm-hmm.
here. And that's now there's a church on every corner. I live in the Bible Belt, so that's a very uh,
Yeah.
prominent
Mm-hmm.
thing. But there's the next town over, about an hour away, Bristol, uh, Tennessee. In Bristol, Tennessee, of course, they're a little bit bigger, and they've got some theaters, and they've got the Hard Rock Casino and the hotel and stuff. And just uh, I would say that we go there,
Mm-hmm.
and they also have Bristol calls itself the home of country music, and they have a home of country music museum there, and that's very interesting. You get a lot of history and stuff there. There's a lot of history around here. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah. So that's probably what we would do.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Like, okay, yeah, you live in a Bible Belt, so like that's always intrigued me. Like, I know there are like communities and these belts around in the United States, but I don't think I've ever talked to anybody who actually lives there. So like, I find that fascinating.
It's
So
very
you,
cons- Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, I was gonna say, so you prefer like the quiet, like easygoing, like chill kind of life rather than just being in some like a big city. Let's just like, rushing, rushing, rushing. Need to go from
Well,
point A to B.
yeah, yeah. There's a time and a place. I mean, sometimes I enjoy going to the city, and I enjoy going to. I just got back from Austin. We were doing some recording there.
Hmm.
I like that. But for me, a good day is a day I don't have to leave the farm. You know what? I
Nice.
don't have to deal with anybody. I can stay here, and I mean, uh, I prefer that. As far as living in the Bible Belt and stuff, I mean the people are great. People you're going to have crazy people everywhere, but I mean most of
Yes.
the time people are here are really laid back, and the pace is a lot slower than it is in the city, and probably the lack of culture. I mean, as far as you don't have the theaters and you don't have the nightlife and stuff, and people are kind of I don't want to say less tolerant, but they are again just conservative in nature generally. And
They are used to, they like what they are used to. They are not so, I would imagine, not so prone to change. Like,
no,
and put it like, let's put it like nicely.
right, and they sort of cling to the conservative values, and here in the states over the last few years, things have been kind of pushed to the left a little bit, and that doesn't sit well with a lot of a lot of people around here.
I've
But
noticed, yes.
yeah,
No, yeah, it's all right. That's again, it's fascinating. Like this is what I like about me talking from different people in America. It's just like, one lives there, one lives there, one lives there, and it's totally different culture,
yeah,
totally different way of life, totally different values.
yeah.
Interesting. Is
If you
Virginia? Yeah, I want to go. Sorry.
go to the coast, if you go, I mean, out different communities and stuff, I mean, you're going to get a totally different opinion. Uh,
100%. Yep.
and it's so, I mean, it's so divisive right now. And I think we spoke about that earlier. You asked me, I don't know when we'll get to that, but you had mentioned, some things that,
Yeah. No,
that
soon we'll yeah, no, we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there soon. One last thing. Is Virginia known for some special like cuisine or food that's like, oh, this is the best, you know, this dish we only do here in Virginia. No other state can touch this like dish or cuisine or something.
I have to think about that. But the thing that comes to mind is probably Virginia's country hams, uh, the
Okay.
salt cured ham. I mean, that's we're big on that. Smithfield Farms and stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
would, yeah, that would be the thing that I would hold up probably.
Okay. Okay. Nothing wrong with a good old ham. Like,
Absolutely.
Okay, I think with that we can move to the this or that, where I'll ask you or I'll give you two choices and you'll tell me which one would you prefer and why. So, Mike, TV shows or movies?
TV shows.
Oh, okay, why?
I have a short attention span.
Ah,
I think I'm ADHD or whatever it is. No, I mean that's a good question. I like both and everything, but
hmm,
lots of times when I do have a chance to sit down and watch TV at the end of the day or whatever with my wife, of course, she's got a show or two she'll like to watch, and I got a couple of shows I like to watch, but I'm trying to do what she likes, and she's not so much of a movie person. I mean,
hmm.
I like movies, documentaries, movies. I mean, I'm into that, but with her, uh, well, she keeps the remote most of the time, so
And as they say, happy wife, happy life.
that's it. That's it. That's
I
it.
get you. Yeah, I get you. Tea or coffee?
Oh, I'm on a coffee kick. Uh,
Nice.
I'll tell you a funny story. We were
Mhm,
playing a metal festival in Chicago, and we'd been on the road for a day or two, and my stomach was a little bit, congested, I guess you would say. I mean, and I was having an issue, and my drummer says, "Oh, dude," he says, "go over to the restaurant there, the Waffle House," and he said, "Get you a big cup of coffee." He said,
mhm.
"That'll before we hit the road." He said, "That'll do you good." So, man, I took his advice, and it worked like a charm. And so I've been a regular coffee drinker for several years now. I had to switch off of the decaf or off of the caffeine though to decaf because caffeinated gets me the jitters.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get you. How do you take your coffee?
Black, just black.
Nice and
And
simple.
nice and simple.
Nice.
What about you?
Well, I like my specialty coffee, so mostly black, really.
Oh,
And I usually like I'm doing this like thing called intermittent fast, where I only eat like once a day, like one big meal, and that's about it. So if you do that, you can only drink water and black tea or coffee with like obviously no milk, no sugar, nothing. So I've learned to appreciate specialty coffees because they actually taste like ni nice coffees rather than just like your instant stuff.
that's very interesting, man. That you're doing this.
hmm
Uh,
money or free time?
pardon?
Money or free time?
Oh, free time.
Oh, nice.
That's without a doubt. Uh,
hmm
I'm I'm the guy that I don't so much do music for the money.
hmm
I like the pat on the back. You know, my I have pretty simple needs, and I've got a farm, and I've got everything. I always told myself if I when I ever got big in music that I'd buy myself a farm and put a studio on it. Well, when I came back, working with Dad's insurance place and everything, and got the farm and got the studio and everything now, and
hmm
everything kind of came backwards. And so now I'm out doing the music, so trying to really, you know, hit it a little harder now. Of course, I got a
Yeah.
little more semi-retired.
Okay. Well, you truly are living the dream.
Well,
Like
thank you for
on a
some kind.
farm, just in your own peace, like doing music on the side. That sounds like a, pretty good life.
I should have bought you a picture of my log cabin. I live in a log cabin.
Oh.
Uh,
Nice.
yeah, I like being here in Virginia, and I like being on the farm.
I'm happy for you. I'm genuinely happy for you. That you seem very like content. So like that's
As,
then you cannot really ask for much more, can you?
no, as yourself, I mean, I always thought Scotland was. I always pictured it as being kind of like around here. I mean, it's a mountainous region, a lot of farming. I mean, is it?
hmm
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Scotland has this great advantage that no matter where you live, I live in quite like a major city, because I am more of a city person than like a village kind of like, woods kind of person, even though I like to, go out in nature. But Scotland has a great advantage. Like you're half an hour to an 1 hour max from something beautiful, like like by a car or a train. Like we have it all. We have some nice woods. We have some nice hills. Like not really mountains. We call them Monroes, and like some great beaches. Obviously not not the weather for to get a proper suntan. But hey, we cannot have it all. Otherwise, it would be too perfect.
Ah, man, I definitely want to come visit you guys. I would love to come to Scotland. I'd love to go to the UK, Scotland, see and just see Europe in general. And if I could go there with my band and tour, that would be even better. Once I did get the opportunity a few years ago with a band out of Canada called Zedhead to go to Sweden, and
Okay.
yeah, we played in Sweden, then up through Finland and stuff. But that was just like for a few days and then back. But
Mhm.
I loved it. Didn't like the airplane trip over there, but loved yeah.
Yeah, I imagine. No, but hopefully it will work out and you will come like, either fall of 2025, maybe next year. But no, yeah, hopefully. That'd be cool.
Yep. If I do, I'll look you up and I'll
Oh.
buy you that one meal.
Thank you. You're very that's very kind of you. Thank you. Honesty or other people's feelings?
Other people's feelings. I'm
Oh, nice.
worst. My doctor says that my empathy is going to kill me, so I would probably lie to somebody to keep from hurting their feelings. That's a terrible thing to say. Can't believe you made me say that.
I wasn't expecting that to be honest, but okay. I like it. So, you being in Virginia, this next one kind of it really intrigues me. Summer or winter?
Oh my goodness, summer. This
And how does it look like in Virginia? That's my follow-up question.
this is terrible. It's been really cold this winter, and at the start of the winter, I went out and cut a ton of wood, and
hmm
guys helped me, and I had stacks of firewood, I burnt through it, man, already, and I'm about I'm about out of wood again.
Yeah.
It's been a really cold winter, and
hmm
so yeah, I'm more of a summer person. I mean, I don't like it when it's so hot you can't stand it, but I like being outside. You
hmm
know.
And kind of like give me an idea how does like average summer day in Virginia or where you are looks like? What's the temperature like? Like, is it like I don't actually know. Is Virginia one of those states where it's like hot and it's like humid or like it's hot and it's not it's dry, hot, heat?
We have the benefit. I mean, I got to say this: we have four seasons in Virginia,
Nice.
and they're all distinct. You can tell a difference big time between summer and winter.
Hmm.
And our summer is it can get hot. I mean, we've had like last few summers that have been really hot. It can be in the 90s or whatever. But in general, you 80s. You know, uh, and it's just nice weather. But it can be, falls and the winters can be tough sometimes.
Of course, yeah. No, I get it. So it's one of those places where it's like when it's summer, it's actually quite hot, and when it's winter, it's actually properly cold. That one of
Yeah.
those? Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but here this year we've had a lot of flooding. I'm not too far at all from Asheville, North Carolina,
Hmm.
and they had that hurricane at Helene that come through. I mean, it just devastated that area and Upper East Tennessee. I mean, we're close to there, and so everybody's trying to do. As a matter of fact, my church, the that I go to, the Baptist Southern Baptist Association, are sending in some a crew here to this week to this area because of the flooding we had last week, and a lot of people have lost their homes, and it's a disaster area. So
That's yeah, no, that must be rough, especially in a winter, like, to get something through and it's winter, like it's, like that adds like so much more to that. It's
they
I
they
cannot
had a
even imagine.
they had the big flood, and then like 2 days later, snow. Freezing snow.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
yeah,
Ugh, that I cannot even imagine that. Like we occasionally do get some like storm here in, but we never get hurricanes, tornadoes, anything like major like that. So like I'm always kind of thankful when I'm like, yeah, like every once in a while we get a big storm and yeah, like it knocks over a tree here or there and like, and some people do are left without power. So like sometimes it does get bad, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it ever goes like America bad. Like when you guys have like, oh, hurricane here, tornado here, flooding here, fire. Like LA just had those fires.
yeah.
Uh,
Terrible.
yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely terrible.
it is. No, it's. Oof, I cannot even imagine. Like that's why sometimes I'm not sometimes I'm very thankful for where I live. It's quite boring here, but it's like compared to some other places, I like this boring.
Boring is good.
Yeah, can be, can be. Yes. So, probably the most important question of all, ninjas or pirates?
Probably pirate.
All right.
Great question. Yeah. Probably pirate. I can only imagine being a ninja. There would be a lot of discipline involved as
Yep.
far as learning your skills and whatnot. And a pirate, you're just kind of winging it. So yeah, pirate.
Nice. Yep. And the last question, free will or destiny?
Dang, where do you come up with these at?
I know, right?
Uh, you know, I destiny. I would say destiny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes your free will would probably guide you toward your destiny. I mean, yeah, yeah, destiny. I
Okay.
believe, especially in my life, that of course I'm a religious guy, and I feel like sometimes that I'm on a mission. So, you know, I would have to say destiny.
Okay. So do you believe your mission is to play music?
Well, I made a promise a long time ago that the bigger I got, the more people would know that I was a Christian. So anytime I get the opportunity, like in a podcast like now, or any way I get to do it, opportunity to bring it up and talk about my faith, I do that. And so I feel like that's the way that I can give back. I feel like I've been blessed, and the music is a blessing, but it's also a platform.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm right now. I'm a rock musician, but I've started over the last year or two. I've started writing more traditional bluegrass gospel. There's a lot of bluegrass in my area. I don't know if you're familiar with bluegrass music. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm right in the heart of it. That's, you asked me a minute ago what Virginia is known for. I should have said, some of the bluegrass and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my take on things. I mean, as far as being on a mission, I feel like that I do want to spread stuff as, my, the name and everything and the music as far as I can get it. Use my platform for good.
Okay. That's always an admirable goal. Yeah, but always that sounds good. And okay, before we move to the flex part of the podcast, do you have any hot takes or controversial opinions you would like to share with us?
Okay, so here's what we talked about before, right?
Hmm.
And I was looking at that. I guess right now my gripe is social media as far as getting on there and seeing. Looks like everything is fear filled. I mean, everything everywhere you look, it's you better be afraid of this. You better be afraid of that. And I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I mean, I understand the concept of division and and how that can keep us divided and. Uh, it looks like I don't know. I mean, I just think some of it's by design,
Hmm.
and I tend to find myself now not watching as much TV as I did,
Hmm.
or not listening, not taking as much, with the social media. I mean, I get on it and check things and everything, but I try to catch myself as far as dwelling, like something like this. I would enjoy watching, something like this. But now, as far as just scrolling through Facebook and seeing all of the different, oh, you better be afraid of this. You better be worried about that. Everything. That's
Yeah.
I'm almost that.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, I get you. I get you. It's like those companies definitely understood that or understand now that fear sells and and they need the clicks. So I have noticed even like in journalism and even like reputable websites, there are like headlines that just make you click and for you to click on that, they need to word it in a specific way where you would be intrigued to get your news. And yeah, that's not gonna end well, I don't think. Long term, I don't think.
No, I tell people a lot of times that you'll hear people say, "Why is there only bad news on the news?" You turn the news on and watch it; it's all bad news. Well,
Hmm.
the more you look into that, I mean, that's a psychological thing. It's the fear and flight, fear or flight thing. And so, if I seen an experiment where a guy would held up these flashcards to a person, and there was like uh, a bowl of cherries on the picture. They just hold up to him, flash for a second, but on the corner over here there was a spider, and
Hmm.
so they'd flash that picture up and they'd say, what did you see? And everybody would say, well, there was a bowl of cherries, but there was a spider over there. They seen that spider, and that got their attention. Same thing, a field full of watermelons, but there was a line over in the corner. Everybody's seen that line, and it's your mind is it's primal thing built in there for survival and to to look at the things that that may harmful. That's the stuff that gets your attention. So when they put all these bad stories and stuff on the news, that's because they want to draw your attention and they keep you glued to that, and it's the same thing on Facebook, and stuff that we were talking about social media,
Hmm.
that keeps you scrolling. It keeps you in that. I'm about tired of that.
And the problem is nowadays, like, Facebook, X, TikTok, all these big apps, they have amazing algorithm where once you click on one or two things, that's all they need to establish, hey, this person likes these things or clicks on these things, not even likes them, they just, they click on them, so we push more to his feed. So next
Yep.
time you log into Facebook, you will not see your friends or what they post. You see, oh, more of this, more of this. The pages you're not even subscribed to, and I'm like, this is wild.
Yeah, yeah. It's all designed to keep you looking. It's crazy. You walk around and we go to a downtown or a mall or something here, and you'll see people just, looking at that phone. I mean, just staring at that phone.
Hmm.
And then if you think like, people that work, I mean, at the insurance office, I mean, they're on a computer screen, 8 hours a day, and then they come home and then you watch TV. So it's like constantly that blue light. And I've been reading a lot of studies and stuff about blue light, and it's not good for you. So my wife and I, we both actually we bought the blue light glasses, with the blue light that filters. So, is that what you got? Well,
Yes, that's
that's
what I'm wearing. I'm pointing for, because obviously this is an audio podcast. I was just pointing in my glasses as well because I don't really need glasses, but these ones have the blue light protection. So like it actually changes the colors a bit because it filters out some of the blue light. Yeah.
mine as well. That's what I've got on. So yeah, I mean that's a thing. So
Yeah.
that's my great.
And again, just with this blue light, as a person, I was gonna make a joke, stop attacking me because I'm one of those people. I'm not an insurance person, but as an IT person, I stare at computer screens all day long. So I do need those glasses. Otherwise, yeah, like I was getting bad headaches and all that. So like definitely they help.
But I'm not a doctor, but I've watched a lot of these videos and stuff where they talk about your eyes. There's a lot of stuff is like you take in light, and it that's how the melatonin and some of your hormones are produced by that light that you take in.
Hmm.
Well, the blue light destroys melatonin, and you know it actually I read these studies about how people gain weight that are watching that are on that. We used to at the office, we used to talk about the Nationwide 20. Nationwide's the company I used to work for and everything, insurance. Uh, when a secretary would start working there within 6 months or so, they would gain like 20 pounds. And it was always because they were 8 hours a day sitting there, at the desk and didn't get a chance and, eating bad food and stuff like that. But now I look back and I think, man, I wonder if it has something to do with the blue light, the screens.
I was
So
gonna say I've never not I wasn't aware there is some sort of correlation between blue light and gaining weight. I think the correlation would be more like yeah, people get sedimentary jobs and they move less. And I
right.
thought, that was like, oh yeah, and they usually like and many people are like, oh yeah, I'll have a coffee after lunch and something sweet with a coffee, and I'll have this after, maybe in like 2 hours I have a snack, and suddenly,
There's a lot of that. So yeah, that's that too. But again, if you get a chance, I mean, look that up. I mean, there is I guess a correlation between the
okay,
two. Not necessarily a causation, but yeah, check it out.
all right, okay. Anything else, or do you want to move to the flicks part of this podcast?
Uh, no, I'm good. I've that's my rant for the day.
All right, that wasn't that ranty to be honest, no, but it's all great. So, okay, we are now at this part of the show where I ask you, Mike, what is the last new movie you would rate 5 out of 5? So anything 2020s.
Oh my goodness. See, that's what I really had to dig for that for
Hmm.
that because like I said, I don't see a whole lot of new movies, everything, I guess. But one of the couple of them that jumped out at me, is I don't know, I kind of like The Beekeeper. Did you see it?
I do yeah, I seen it last year. That was the last year. It's Jason Statham and B puns. What's not there to, what's not to love? I
Yeah.
watched it in a cinema with my girlfriend actually, and there were moments where we were like laughing properly, and she was like, "This is the stupidest thing ever," but it's kind of good. I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of it's probably kind of a guy flick.
Hmm.
I don't know. Uh, yeah, see, it's some dumb stuff, man. I mean, the Fall Guy. Did you ever see the Fall
Oh
Guy?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, the Fall Guy was also good. Like, I would rate it slightly higher than Beekeeper, but no, both are great. Like, I'm an action guy. Like, I love action movies if done well. And Fall Guy, perfect. Like, like it was very good. I kind of preferred, as far as like this director goes, his previous movie, The Bullet Train. I don't know if you've seen that with Brad Pitt.
Good. No, I can imagine it's pretty good stuff.
Oh, I was like I went in expecting nothing much, but I ended up loving it. I was like, that's brilliant action. Like to me, it was like funny, brilliant, quick. Brad Pitt, like I'm like, all right, I'm in.
Very
So
cool.
no,
I'll,
it
tr-
is.
I'll try to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I mean, that's my wife. Like I said, I mean, I consume media with her, and getting her to sit still and watch a movie too is tough to
Nah,
do. And for us to agree on the movie to watch, that's another story.
I know the struggle. I also know the struggle. My girlfriend's exactly, well, similar, I guess. Like, she's also more into TV shows. She's not as big on, like, I'm a massive movie fan. So, like, obviously it's gonna be tough to equal me when it comes to like how much movies I want to watch. I want to watch all the movies. So, but even then, she's like a specific type of person, and she prefers TV shows. So yeah, I understand your struggle. I hear you, sir.
I like all the Marvel movies and all the
Hmm.
action. I mean, I'm with you on that. You like
Okay.
Guardian? You like Guardians of the Galaxy? Did you like
Oh
that
yeah,
movie?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, these are very good. Like I'm not as high on them as many are. Like I know people who love all of them, like a proper like love, consider them like one of the best in that MCU. I was never that high, but I like all of them, like all three of them. I'm like, yeah, those are very good movies.
Yeah, yeah. In particular, I like the first one.
Hmm.
There's another one that I don't think probably not a lot of people have seen. It's a documentary or it's a movie that I found on YouTube, and it's called War Games: A Propaganda. Uh, uh, what is it? War Games: a World Threat. So it's a documentary, and again, you just have to watch it. It's like a scenario of worst case scenario of uh, opposition to the government, overthrow of a government in DC, and it's actually what they would do if it happened. If something, I don't know if you remember January 6th from a few years ago, but
I do.
insurrection. But this the whole movie is based on how that the government would react to the things it could do. But here's the thing about it: the government made this movie, and that a lot of the people that are acting in this movie are real government officials and real government. They went in and shot this as kind of I don't know. I mean, I don't really know exactly what they were up to, but it's a very fascinating movie if you can find it. It's
Okay. I'm gonna be honest. I'm quite wary of especially documents on YouTube because
right.
nowadays many let's say questionable people can make a any kind of quote unquote documentary look legit,
Oh
and they
yeah,
use quote unquote experts,
yeah,
and then they look, nowadays they look very polished and professional, but if you look into some of the claims of some of those documentaries, it's like that's total bullshit. But they present it so well. It looks so legit. So like I'm not saying that's your document. I'm not saying like that's what are you talking about? That's that. But I'm just saying like I'm quite wary of people or sorry. I'm quite wary of documents on YouTube because I really like to know who's behind them. Because
yeah.
like nowadays you can shape like a lot of information, you can package them in very different ways and interesting ways where you just obscure this thing, this thing, this thing, and suddenly we have a conspiracy theory. And I'm like, oh, that's not good.
That's a very astute observation. I mean,
Okay.
that's what that's what I was griping about before with the Facebook thing. And yeah,
Yep.
I don't like it. On this particular movie. I mean, I'll send you a link to it, and you can decide for yourself. I mean, it's kind of one of those things when you watch it, you say, "I can't believe I just seen
Yeah.
that." What did I just watch? you
We'll
know.
see. Yeah. No, we'll see. Okay. So what about what's the last quote unquote teen movie you'd rate 5 out of 5? So anything between 2003 and 2019. Let's go back a bit.
Well, you know, I don't really know necessarily a teen movie, but I will tell you this: I have a grandson,
Hmm.
and he's 7 years old. And when he comes and stays with us and stuff, we end up watching his movies. So the last movie I watched with him was a movie called Bad Guys.
Oh
And
yeah, the animated one.
yeah, man, I love that movie. I sat there and laughed. I thought that was great. So it's not a teen movie, but I
No,
mean, it's
that's just a name for the category. That's not, they don't have to be involving teens. It's
yeah,
just like, like a name for the like time span. Like, that it's doesn't have to be about teens. That's why I said quote unquote, but it's fine. Yeah, no, Bad Guys, I've seen it. I thought it was actually quite fun. It was quite nice heist, like kind of like Ocean's 11, but for kids, and like nice animation.
yeah. And I like a lot of stuff like that, man.
Hmm.
I watch some animated stuff like that. There's some others I can't remember exactly the names of, but I'll sit with him for hours and Saturday morning watch his cartoons or his movies with him. So, but yeah, Bad Guys would be last one I watched like that.
Okay. So what about some quote unquote again adult from 2000 to 1975? Any that come to mind that you would say like that's 5 out of 5 movie for me?
Luke, I am not going to get myself in trouble with my wife right here, right now. I am not. Now, when you
Again,
say,
not adult, not actual, you know what I mean. That's just the name of that, you know.
okay, all right, all right, all right. So I just want to make sure before I. No, I watched a movie a while back, and again, I don't exactly remember the name of it. I'll have to get it to you, but it was a documentary again
Mhm.
about the Bible, and it was showing things. It was going and finding historical proof, and they would go here and show this and that and the other. And I just found that one really interesting. And I apologize that I my memory's bad. I can't remember the name of it now, but it was very interesting. I would like to recommend it to your
What was
viewers,
it?
but I
What was it about?
well, it was basically these scientists, and they were trying to take a scientific approach to the Bible,
Oh, to the Bible. Okay, okay.
uh, and they would try to show you proof and stuff to back up what's in the Bible and everything. It was very interesting,
Do
but
you
again,
need a proof for, just to ask a dumb question, do you need a proof for what's in the Bible? In a sense where, isn't that what the faith portion of the faith is?
that's exactly right. You're exactly right. Uh, But when they show you, they dig up stuff, different documentation and stuff. It talks about that Jesus was real. It shows you from a different perspective other than what's just wrote in the Bible. You get the different historical perspectives from these guys that are independent and had no bias and stuff. And you read that, and you can't help but I don't want to say increase your faith, but kind of just you feel I don't know
No,
more
I
just.
know. No, I know what you mean. As a person who is an atheist, like I've always been told, or I've always knew, like Jesus was real. Like there was a guy called Jesus Christ who lived in that time, and we have proof of that. What
Right.
is what we can disagree on is what he actually did, whether he performed miracles, whether he came back alive, whether he was God's son sent from heaven for and he was punished for our sins and all that stuff. Where and that's
Right.
what I'm saying. That's what I said before. That to me, like Bible doesn't need to be studied that much because that requires faith. Like any like for you to believe it, it requires faith, and I don't have that. So like it's always like like I wish I did have that sometimes, but like
Well,
I don't.
I just watched a documentary or a thing this morning where
Mhm.
Elon Musk was in a lecture, and the professor was lecturing, it's a history professor, where he was lecturing that there was no Jesus, and that was all a myth, and it was all, there was no historical proof to it, and all this, and Elon confronted the guy, and he was saying, that you have to be, that you can't ignore the stuff that's out there just because of your own bias, and he was saying there's, with all this historical, he says you can't deny that, the effect that he's had on the world as far as, there's laws been made and billions of people have been influenced by his teachings. So whether or not you believe that he was the son of God, I mean, that's a personal thing, but you can't deny his existence and the effect that he's had on,
Yeah.
everything. So
And
yeah,
as much as I don't appreciate or don't like Elon, especially right now after everything he's been doing, no, I
right,
do agree there with him. Like, and it's the same. Like, that's the same kind of thing. Where again, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God or Jesus or whatever. Like, I believe there was a Jesus, like the guy. But I don't
right.
believe that he did what he did and stuff like that. But again, that's a different discussion. But has history been shaped by that? Especially like, in like Europe and like to an extent, well, not an extent, in America, because obviously Europeans kind of founded America and discovered quote unquote America. And like, yeah, no, many things have been and for centuries, many bad things happened because of faith and because of, oh yeah, Jesus tells us we do this, so therefore we're gonna burn you because you're a witch. Well, I come from a country, like you can tell by my accent. I come from a, I'm not originally from Scotland. I come from a country where we are taught about our history and how women have been persecuted throughout Europe in 14, 1500s hundreds because, if there was any suspicion of, witchcraft, that's against the Bible. We need to drown you or we need to burn you at a stake. And, if you're not a witch, oh, you'll survive. And if you are, oh, well, Jesus will accept you to his kingdom. So win for you. And
Yeah,
so, like, yeah, like the history has been shaped for better or worse by faith and by Christianity mainly. But then,
yeah,
like, there's other parts of the world where, like Islam, Quran had a big part, and they kind of intertwined at some point. And it is fascinating for a person who has no dog in this fight, as far as like, you know, there are many gods and have been many gods, and I don't have a favorite. And it's fascinating to me to watch people just, oh, my god is better than yours, and here's why. Or no, my god is real, your one is not. And it's like, okay, I'll sit this one out.
I understand. The guy that got that I work with, Jay. I think you spoke with Jay before.
Hmm.
He's in Thailand and he is a Buddhist,
Okay.
and it's really we have some of the best conversations, back and forth like that. So
Yeah.
I respect him, and he minds. So I mean, just all get along. I mean, I would love to sit down with you sometime and maybe have a cold one and discuss this further.
No, yeah,
See if
sure. I'm always down to discuss like any kind of faith or any kind of religion because that is what intrigues me. Like it's not even I'm not trying to disprove you or prove myself wrong or prove myself right. It's more about why do you believe in that?
I can
You know,
appreciate it.
to me,
Yeah,
that's about the why is the better question than how. Like I used to ask, how can you believe in today's day and age there is a God? But I realized that was a dumb question. The better question is why, because that's how you get to know the person
yeah,
better.
yeah, man. For me, I mean, it's been, I mean, again, raised in the Bible Belt. I grew up
Hmm.
being
Hmm.
at this from the day one, but I'm happy because, I mean, it's a different perspective on life. I mean, I feel like, uh, you know, well, I think it was maybe is it Denmark or Finland that I was reading about had such great quality of life there, and that everybody was, the was pushed to succeed early in life, and they were all very well educated and everything. And so, by the time they were 50 or whatever, there's a high rate of suicide because they felt like life's over. There's nothing else left. I've done what I was here to do, and for me, it's like this isn't the end. There's something out there,
Hmm.
after this. And so I mean, it's hard for me to just accept that we're here and then we're gone.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it just makes more sense to me that, the whole energy never dies and all that thing. So, but anyway, enough of that. I've drug you down a collision road. I didn't mean to do
That
that.
that's
I did.
okay. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. Okay, we can continue with the movie talk. And what would be the last quote unquote old movie you would rate 5 out of 5? So anything 1974 and older.
Listen, I am a big. That's where I shine. I like the old black and white movies, and I love the old flying saucer movies. The old
Yeah,
19. I love that stuff. And we got a show here in this that comes on. I think the guy's out of Chicago, and he's called Sven Gulli. And every Saturday night, he kind of dresses up like a ghoul, a vampire stuff, but he's got this show, and he shows old movies. It comes out, and so we love watching that. We'll pile up some popcorn and stuff on Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Turn on Sven Gulli. Uh, I like all that. My wife is a big. She likes the old black and white, or she likes vampire movies. So
nice.
Bela Lugosi and all that stuff, and
Hmm.
the Wolfman, Frankenstein, all that stuff. I mean, I still like all those old classics. That's that's my black and whites. The old stuff. I mean, and if I said one specific movie, I think maybe the last one that comes to mind is Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein and the Wolfman, or I think that was the name of it. Just
Yeah, no, I do have that. I do own that because I have quite a few of those box sets, like all the Dracula movies, all the Wolfman, I think all the Invisible Man movies, like the Universal Monster movies. I think they are generally like now known as Universal Monsters, right? And I absolutely like it. I found them so endearing because obviously like they've aged so some of them are almost 100 years old. So obviously the special effects, there's no special effects. But there's like something is so endearing about all these movies. So I actually want to go through them properly.
yeah.
And because of my buddy Foster, he passed me this list of all the Universal movies in order. So now I have to go through that list. But
Oh, you
yeah,
want?
like I'm right there with you. Like I love me some Universal monsters, like Dracula, like again Wolfman. I love the original Invisible Man. That was a great one. Frankenstein, like all those classics.
Do you binge watch?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I think my wife did that to a TV series here called Yellowstone. It was just
Yeah.
not there for a while. So
I'm currently doing the old Sherlock Holmes. There's like a series from the
that's
30s and 40s with the name just escapes me. Basil Hawthorne, I want to say something like that.
right. I'm
And
familiar.
and I'm basically in the kind of middle of that. I want to say like 4 or 5 movies in, or yeah, so Basil Rathbone, that's
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes, and they've done and Nigel Bruce, who's playing Dr. Watson, and
Uh,
they've done 14 movies from like 39 to like 40, 49 or 50 something maybe. I'm not sure on the dates, but I know they've done 14 movies, and I've noticed one of my streaming services I pay for here has added all of them. So I'm like, you know what? Great. And like most of them are like hour, 2 minutes. Sometimes there's like a one that's like 59 minutes, so it's a very easy breezy watch. And most of the time they are charming, even if I'm not loving all of them, they're still charming enough where I find something intriguing about almost every single one of them I've seen so far.
yeah, yeah. So when you watch it, are you just totally zoned? Do you have that? See, I had a professor would call it willing displacement of or willing disbelief or whatever it is, where you could just get totally wrapped up in. Is that the
Yeah,
way you?
yeah. Yeah, I try not to watch like the way I watch movies, I'm not I know many people nowadays and I do not agree with that. Like, watch a movie on one screen and do something else on another screen. And
Yeah,
I no, I cannot watch movies like that. I'm always downstairs, like because I have a loft. So I'm always downstairs on a nice big TV, like, focused on the one movie and one movie only. I cannot do like, oh, I'm gonna do like houseworks while I'm doing. No. If I'm rewatching something, sure, if I've already seen it, yeah. But if it's a new movie I've never seen, I need to give it my full attention because otherwise it feels like cheating. It feels like people have worked on this, and no matter what the movie is, if it's from the 40s or if it's from 2025, people have worked on this. So least I can do is sit my ass down and give it my full attention.
Cindy, she's gonna kill me for telling all this, but man, my wife, she kills me because we'll sit there watching TV at night, and she'll have her cell phone up scrolling, and it's like, something will come on TV. I say, "Did you see that?" She'll look up, and I'm like, "Man, you're the worst to watch TV with," because you can't talk about anything that happens because she says, "I see it, I see everything."
They are
Ah,
so addictive, those phones, aren't they? Like they are so addictive.
yep, 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 yep.
That's
Two screens going, the TV
yeah.
and the
Yeah, no, yeah. My girlfriend again is exactly the same. This is how she watches her shows and
yeah,
what she does. So what we do when we watch a show together, she tries to pay attention because when she watches her shows, not
yeah,
only she watches it mostly with a phone, but also she is impatient. So like she skips through a lot of things, or if something is happening on screen she doesn't like, she skips forward like 10 minutes. And I'm
yeah.
like, how can you watch anything like that? And she's like, no, let me be. That's the way I watch movies or like TV shows. I'm like, okay, okay.
Listen, have you ever seen this one? My wife will have that cell phone going, have the TV going, and I'll look over at her, and her head will be nodded down like this. And I'll reach over and get the remote and change channels, and she'll say, "Hey, I was watching that."
Yep.
She just totally out of, just wakes totally up. I was watching that, but
Oh,
anyway,
she also likes to nap as well, because especially when she comes after like a long day at work.
all right,
So, yes, occasionally I'm like, "Are you sure you want to watch the next episode of this show we are watching together?" "Yeah, yeah, I'm fine." And then halfway through the episode, she's like, I'm
she's
like,
got.
"Yeah," I'm
Yeah,
like, "You sleeping?" "Oh, no, yeah, maybe."
that must be a universal thing then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, given you said you like your black and white stuff and like your black, like all classic movies, what is your favorite movie decade?
my favorite movie decade or my favorite decade. My
Well, for
favorite,
movies, let's stay with the movies. We're on movies, so
the 50s. The 50s. Got to be the 50s. I mean, there was some great. I used to even the old war flicks, the army movies. There's some. Was it Midway? Wasn't that? That was probably in the 50s.
I think that's 60 exactly, but it's close enough. Yeah.
Yeah, well, some of the old stuff, the old black and white stuff.
Yeah,
There was a lot of good old war movies, and then of course the old horror movies, and yeah, I mean that was kind of the golden era, so to speak.
fair. So I just searched for this, and there is a short from Battle of Midway starring Henry Fonda.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Ah, so and it
Wait,
is 1942. So you were right, sir. You were, yeah.
yeah, very cool.
Nice, nice. So, okay,
Apparently
50s.
right. Well, I'm have to tell my wife about that. So,
Nice.
uh,
No, no, like so 50, 50s are like I don't think I've seen as many, obviously, but I'm trying purposefully go back and like watch more like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s and all that, not just like newer movies. And yeah, I again, there's a charm to those movies because most of the time they have to do with what they have. Like, so there's nothing special, no special effects. The acting is also still slightly different than what we used to. So some of the performers are still kind of like the theater actors. They are trying to overperform everything, and it's kind of endearing for most of it. There are some, yeah. And so, do you have any movie hot takes?
when you say hot take, now what? Tell me what you mean.
Well, something like, for example. Oh, I think this movie is great, even though most people don't like it. Or I think this genre is overrated, underrated, and many people like it or dislike it. Something like that. Or I don't know, this director or this actor is great, and many people don't like them. Anything in that vein.
Uh, do you know who Stanley Kubrick is?
Stanley Kubrick, yeah.
Uh, have you ever seen Eyes Wide Shut?
I've seen all of his movies, yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess some of his stuff. I mean, I like the Eyes Wide Shut. I mean, I don't know as far as some movies that other people didn't like and I liked.
So, like Eyes Wide Shut, you think many people didn't like and you like.
Well, no, I mean, I guess I would go back to the black and white movies. I mean, and the sci-fi stuff and the flying saucer. I mean, I've got that like when I hit YouTube and stuff. I mean, it's right there in my search thing, and my wife goes like, "Oh no, we're not going to do that again, are we?" So, I mean, I kind of tend to go toward that genre. That's my
Okay.
go-to, and so she would rather watch something more up to date. I
Okay.
guess. Uh,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
So,
mean,
as far as like Stanley Kubrick goes, how did we end up there? I'm just slightly curious.
I just read something about him, and I don't know, it's just off the tip of my tongue, that movie. I think I want to go back and watch that movie again
Oh, the
because
eyes. You mean Eyes Wide Shut specifically?
yes,
I know many people thought because he did die just after finishing it, right? So I know, and the movie kind of ends in a very ambiguous note, or ambiguous, ends kind of abruptly, right? So many
right.
people did think, oh, obviously he couldn't finish it because he died. But no, 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 the movie is actually finished. So like this is very much purposeful, and I know many people are not as high on it, but I personally loved it. Like I personally thought it's talking about this very interesting topics, obviously like sex, desire, all that. It's been a minute since I watched it. I need to rewatch it, but I remember thinking this is actually really good. So yeah.
I watched the thing. It talked about how this is that it was. It's there's a lot of that. Of course, like within the states right now, we've got the Diddy thing, the P Diddy
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
where okay, so all these Hollywood elites and all these people, there's rumors and stuff about getting drug into it, and all these uh, uh, well-to-do and
Hmm.
so influential people. And I think that that was one of the things. And I thought you were going to say that you had heard the conspiracy theory about Stanley being knocked off because of that movie, because he exposed and talked about all that. That's a thing.
Ah, I didn't. I
I just
only, okay, the only conspiracy theory about Stanley Kubrick, I've only heard the normal one, quote unquote. That's not normal that he directed the moon landing. That's the only conspiracy theory involving him. Oh no, of course, sorry. The Shining one, that there is like somehow intertwined with the like indigenous people and then and like The Shining is actually about wiping out the indigenous people. I'm like, what? And there's a documentary about it that's kind of weird. And I'm like, okay. So no, but I never heard of that theory that like he was killed because of this movie. No, never heard of that.
did you ever see the movie? I don't know who directed the movie Wag the Dog.
Oh, I have seen that movie. Yes. I think it was was it Pakula or am I misremembering it? Yeah, I have seen that though.
Yeah, I mean, along those line of movies. But
Hmm.
anyway, geez, I seem to be on a conspiracy kick this morning. I apologize.
It was Barry Levinson, by the way. So Barry Levinson, and I did see it like last year. So interesting movie, especially like and I remember like reading or writing something about it in a sense where imagine this in today's day and age with fake news and internet and social media, how much more damaging those things are than they were in 1997, 98.
Yeah, yeah. Who could have foresaw?
Yep. As yeah. Well, anyway, I think we can move to the underrated part of the podcast where I ask you, Mike, who do you think is the most underrated actor we have right now?
Okay, I'm gonna freak you out right now. All right,
Okay.
this I'm gonna really go out there. Sometimes, man, I have a little backstory here. I mean, sometimes I'll have anxiety, and I can bring it on myself different ways. But like, I will think of something, and I can't get the thought out of my mind. Well, there was it's been a while back, but there was I was watching something or something, and there was an actor that I could see in my mind, and I knew he had been in all kinds of shows and movies and whatnot, but I didn't know his name,
Hmm.
and I didn't know how to describe him, to somebody to get the name. So I ended up going out and researching like actors, and so I kind of got obsessed by it. And the guy has been in all kinds of stuff, and I'll bet you that when I say his name, it doesn't. It's not a name that you'll recognize, but the name Gary Grubbs, Grubbs.
No, that's not a name I recognize. Let me look him up.
You
Okay.
got. I mean, you asked me somebody who's highly underrated, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you googling him right now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, no. Yeah, I've seen him. Yes. Oh, yeah. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Yep. You're right.
But nobody. If I tell you that name, you don't know who it is. And
Correct.
but I think he's underrated.
From what I see, he mostly will plays like a side characters. Like yeah,
Right.
like yeah. So okay, interesting. Yeah, definitely. I've seen him in many things, but yeah, I would not remember his name. So yeah, you got me there.
Well, you said somebody I think's underrated. So yeah, I would say him. As far as a female, I mean, I'm not sure.
Okay, so we can skip actors. It's fine. We can.
Yeah.
What about some directors then?
Huh. Spike Lee.
Oh, that's
He's not necessarily underrated, but
no, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because you're literally the second person in a row that said Spike Lee. I've had a guest on just before you who also I'm 99% sure he also said Spike Lee, and we had a conversation how he's never won an Oscar like for or not at least not for directing. So I'm like, oh, this is so funny.
yeah, I actually had to take a class in school, and it was we watched several of his movies and talked about his. So I always thought, yeah, he probably didn't get the attention he deserved.
Yeah, I know. Like again, like when we had this discussion with the other guest, yes, we arrived like he should have probably gotten at least one directing Oscar at this, by now. And
Yeah,
it seems quite not great that he doesn't have one yet. Like it's
I never hear from him now. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's still active, but I
Oh
mean,
no, it is. He just takes his time between movies. Like he just like there was like a string of there was a period of time where he did quite a few in a row, but now he seems to be taking his time. So I'm like, all right, whatever you want to do, Spike.
perfect. I don't.
Do
That's
you have a movie or two you would want to shout out as underrated?
I'm sure that when we finish talking and I go back up the house and I'm going to say, "Oh my goodness, I should have told him
Yeah.
this or whatever." Right off the top of my head, Luke, it's hard to. There's several movies that
Mm-hmm.
I just have to think about that for a second. On a commercial scale, like I mean, I like the Mission Impossible movies. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I liked. But now you're saying a movie that's been underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Ghostbusters 3. There are Ghostbusters 3. I'd seen a Ghostbusters the other day with let me see, I'll have to look that up. I thought that was the name of it. It was a Ghostbusters movie, and me and the wife said watched it.
I was gonna
Uh
say which one because there's not a third. There's a second one, but there's not like a third one. Then there's a all female reboot, kind of reboot, kind of not. And then there's the one from 2019, Afterlife, and there's a new one from last year, The Frozen Empire.
no, this one, yeah, I don't it was I'm gonna be sorry I brought that up.
No, it's okay. Look, who was in it? Do you remember?
I can't remember, but it was almost like a kids movie. It was
Was it
not the
animated by any chance?
no, it was actually the real Ghostbusters showed up at the end of the movie.
I
And
think that was the Afterlife then. I think that must have been the one from 2019.
yeah,
Is it about a kid who lives in like Ohio or someplace like with his mom who's the daughter of a Spengler?
I believe that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so that's the Afterlife. Okay.
I thought it was a good movie. I mean, it was fun to watch. It was,
No, yeah, I actually quite liked it too, to be honest. Like the Frozen Empire, the one from last year, not that much. That was quite average. But no, the one previous that because it was Jason Reitman, it was even Ivan Reitman's dad who started it all. He actually directed Afterlife, so it did feel more like a Ghostbuster movie than the previous one. So that was good.
yeah.
What
Well,
about some TV shows? Because you said you're a TV show guy, so is there like a TV show you wouldn't want to shout out as being underrated?
dude, I probably could sit down and word for word tell you the Big Bang theories. I mean, I could sit down. I've watched that show. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
I like that, and I like the spinoff from it.
Young Sheldon.
Yeah, young Sheldon, but there's another new one now. Georgie, his brother, gets married. Georgie's first marriage, I think, is something like that. But I like those. It's just and basically it's like junk food. It's
Yeah.
like junk TV. You sit down and watch it, and
But every
you know,
once in a while, that's exactly what you need.
yeah, yeah, and it's just kind of garbage, and it clears your mind a little bit, and it makes me laugh. We like I get sometimes I'll watch the news, but I get disgusted with the news
Hmm.
because the news is so biased. It's very biased over here as far as toward the left. I mean, it's ridiculous, really.
Hmm.
But it's kind of interesting to and I watch the local news and stuff. But TV shows. Let's see. My wife constantly she has to have something going on in the background of the house all the time. So she'll keep a TV on, and she likes these old westerns, old black and white westerns. So she's got a channel that she keeps on all day,
Hmm.
western house. So now she's got me to where I'll be walking through, and all of a sudden something will get. I don't know about you, but I'm the kind of guy that if something's on the screen and catches my eye like that, I'll just kind of zone out, for a second, and
Okay.
just
No,
stand, with a dumb look on my face.
fair.
Get mad at me. She said, "Weren't you doing something? Get out of here. I'm busy." But anyway,
Yeah.
no,
No, that's fair. Well, thank you, Mike. This has been very interesting. It was very. I had a good time. Thank you for your time.
you're an
Uh,
interesting guy.
you've answered all my questions, so like I thank you. Before we say goodbye, do you have a question for me?
No, but before I mean, yeah. So when I come over there, me and you're going to sit down and have a drink, right?
Sure, of course. If you're ever in Scotland, hit me up.
I'm going to look you up. Uh, Other than that, man, please tell people to come check my music out.
I was gonna ask. So if people
Yeah,
ask, if people enjoyed our conversation, what's the best place, since we bashed on the social media, what's the best place for them to follow you?
I'm all over social media. Do as I say, not as I do, or whatever. I don't know. I'm on. You can find my website at matney.rocks.
Hmm.
It's so Matney, Matney dot ROCKS. I'm all over YouTube, Matney Music. On Instagram, it's Matney Band, and we got a Facebook page, Matney the Band, and yeah, check us out. And we're on Spotify and all the streaming services and stuff. So it's rock, it's hard rock, kind of got a Texas, little bit of a boogie twist to it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'd appreciate that, man. Check
No,
us out.
no, yeah, sounds good. Some of these links will be always, as always, down below. So thank you so much for your time. As far as myself is concerned, in movies lost on Letterboxd, lostinmovies.co.uk, which is my blog, and here every other Friday. And as always, this podcast is part of SPDM Crew Podcast Media. Special thanks goes to Highflyer Creative for creating my logo. If you want to see what else they have happening, visit highflyercreative.com. And until next time, bye bye.